Do you know what the most requested bridal style is? The half up, half down. And do you know that it's common for bridal stylists to think that the half up, half down, awesome, it's easy. It's gonna I'll just throw this together, get it all curled up, pin, pin, and we're done. And I learned along the way that actually the half up, half down is one of the most complex styles to create and the most time consuming. I mean, think about it. You have to not only curl all of this hair, you still have to design the other crown, the entire crown area. You still have to do all the face framing, and you have to pin this together and make sure that no pins are showing. So it's actually quite complex. My goal is to make sure that you can throw together a half up, half down, and we can simplify it so that it's not that challenging. So in this class, you're not only going to see how I get this curled up quite quickly using a 1.25-inch barrel, which sometimes I recommend always using a 1-inch barrel, but today we're using 1.25. And then also how to put together the crown area and simplify it so that it's not too complex, so that you're not using too many pins, so that you can actually combine this together and then tweak it. And using all of those tweaks, that's where the magic actually happens. So please enjoy this class, enjoy putting this together, and remember that if it looks messy in the beginning and you're like, this is just not coming together, trust the process, continue tweaking, continue pinching and pulling, and then lock in your half up, half down. And I promise you, you are going to absolutely love creating half up, half downs after this. So enjoy the class, and I can't wait to recreate this one with you. The products that we'll be using for this half up, half down are the Surface Impulse Wet Hairspray, because you know I love this as a curling product, so something to use prior to curling. I'm all about that. The Design Me Volumizing Powder. You can use either the light or the regular. It's not going to make a huge difference. Either one is great for this. And we'll also be incorporating several different Air Professional products. So the first one is the Styling Paste. We'll be using this to really manipulate the crown and give some added shine and control. And then we'll also be using Shine Spray at the end. Now, I love a shine spray, especially on dull hair, maybe hair that doesn't have a lot of dimension. Shine Spray is perfect for that. And then in terms of a flexible spray, we'll be using the Flexible Hold Hairspray and Texture Air. And we may or may not use a ton of the texture spray. It just depends on, once we get this curled up, what it looks like, and if we want to add a little bit more volume and fluff to the curl pattern. We'll start our styling with our signature prep, because I always start my styles with the signature prep. It's my favorite way to prep the hair, and that is going in with that micro crimper. So we'll take our hands and then determine how much hair we actually need to micro crimp, which it's not that much. So you just want to take your hand here and then place it around the crown area, and then that's about the amount of hair that we'll be micro crimping. When we're micro crimping up the strand, how far we go up the strand really depends on the style that you're creating. Typically, I say like 3 to 4 inches, but for this one, I want to bring this back and kind of measure where I'm going to be placing this half up, half down. And because it's about this area here, I want to measure. And so we're looking at more like, 7-ish inches up the strand. And that's so that all of this outer area of the hair that's going to be exposed is going to be really nice and clean. It's going to be frizz-free. It's going to maximize volume. And then it's also going to maximize scalp coverage here if you were working with maybe a thinner, density of hair. This hair here has a lot of natural texture into it. It is a medium texture, so it's going to curl up really nice. We'll be using the 1.25-inch Bioionic curling iron today. I'm going to be using a little bit of a bigger barrel, and that's just because this is going to curl up really nicely, but also I don't want a really tight wave pattern or curl pattern in the hair. I want this to be a really flowy. This is kind of more of like our signature flowy romantic half up, half down. So let's dive right in with micro crimping this crown area and just get started. I'm going to give this a nice comb through to detangle. Before you begin micro crimping, you need to kind of map out your style and determine where that part is going to be. So always kind of bring your client around to the front and then ask her where she likes her part. I like to naturally pull this back to see where that natural part is. So comb through that hair right at the hairline and then kind of push forward and see where that natural part is. A lot of times your clients are going to come in with their hair already in a parted, in a section that's already parted, and that's amazing. But they might not actually want their part to be there. So it looks like this part, it almost wants to fall just a tiny bit off-centered. I'm going to check to see our face framing to see if that's a possibility, or I'm going to push this back and then push forward, comb that back and then push forward just like that. And I think we're going to go with a center part today. So let's go with a center part for this one. And double check that face framing. That's going to work out perfect. So now that I know that I'm using a center part, then I can still go in and I can put my hand down just like I've taught you before and know that that's the tip of the crown right there. And so that's where I'm going to start my micro crimping. And that's also where most of my volume will begin, is right there in that area. So I'm going to add my clip just to the side. I'm using my Hattis Holland micro crimper. I'm going to start in the back section right there behind that part. That's where I'm going to start. That's where I'm going to start my micro crimping. I like to kind of section that out and then pie shape that out so I can see exactly how the hair is going to be distributed around the crown. And then my micro crimper is at 360, so it doesn't really need to be any higher than that. I'm going to lift these sections up, quite small sections, so I can see through them. That gives me maximum results with my micro crimper. Hold that up at 90 degrees and then a really, really fast shimmy up the strands. And again, I'm going up about as far as where that half up, half down will connect right there in the back so that that entire area is really nice and smooth. So I'll push that over to the side using that clip to keep the hair out of the way. And then just continue this, lifting up very, very thin slices of hair. And yeah, I'm bringing this micro crimping up a little bit higher than I usually do, but I really want to make sure that my crown area is just absolutely flawless. Okay, remember it's just a really, really light shimmy, barely opening up the micro crimper. I mean, you're almost not opening up the micro crimper, you're just squeezing it just like this as you move up that strand. I'm getting a little bit messy over here, so I just want to clip this out of the way. I really like to keep a really nice, clean working space. So I'm clipping that out of the way, and then I'll continue bringing this strand up, and you can see it's just a very small slice. I get asked a lot how far to go down on the back of the head. I think that the best answer to that question is it depends on the density of the hair. If somebody has really thin hair, then I would go down further. And if they have pretty thick hair, then you probably can get away with just micro crimping that top area. The thinner hair, you want to go down a little bit further so that you can expand that strand so that it actually takes up more space. But I think we're good right there. That's as far as we're going to bring that down. So I'm going to release this clip. And then already you can see, I mean, what an incredible difference here to this side over here. It's a huge difference. And so that's why I'm such a stickler for micro crimping. Now we'll do the two sides here. So I'm going to put this one over here, the clip on that side, just so that when I lay that hair over the top, I don't put it right in, or it doesn't fall right into your client's face. So as I work down this side, I'm still taking very, very thin slices. I have found that the thinner the slice, the better the results. It does take a little bit longer because your sections are so much smaller, but I think that it's worth it in the end because of the amazing results that you get. When you're doing a half up, half down, you never want that micro crimping to actually be exposed, right? You always want it to kind of be hidden in there and like your secret weapon. When you're doing a half up, half down, because you're coming down, and because this hair is, well, this hair will probably be out for the face framing, but then you're taking this hair and you're directing it back into this half up, half down. You do have to be really careful with how far down you go on the strand, because if you get any visible micro crimping here, then when you swoop this back around, that visible micro crimping is going to show on the side of the face. So it's really important to always, visually map out your style so that you know exactly how much hair is going to be wrapped around the back of the head, so that you don't micro crimp down too far and then have that hair down here by almost like by the parietal be exposed. You wouldn't want the micro crimping to be exposed. So 2 things is understand how far down you need to go, and then also just make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on your micro crimper on this side over here, so that you don't get too much visible texture. So I'm only going to bring it down that far. And then another little trick you can do if this is quite frizzy, you can just take your micro crimper and kind of run through it like a flat iron, and just help smooth or add a little bit of shine. It's not going to do as much as that micro crimping is going to do, but it is going to add a little bit of heat and smooth out that section just a little bit. Great, let's bring this down and do the same thing to the other side. Adding in the clip on this side, and then micro crimping the same amount. All the hair that's been micro crimped, just comb through that to detangle it. Then re-put down, recreate that part. Do a quick once over, making sure that you got all the areas. I have a little bit of frizz right here. So before I move on, I'm just going to lift this up and redo that section. Who knows why? Maybe I wasn't clamping down hard enough. But if you do need to redo a section, just redo it really quickly. You want consistency in the texture of the hair. So if you have to redo something, it's okay. But now look how shiny that is. I mean, look at the difference between this hair down here and this hair up at the top. That's a significant difference. And this doesn't have any product in it yet. It's just that micro crimping. Now let's address this area down here. We're going to start with curling. And because we're doing a half up, half down, it means that we have to curl most of the hair. So it takes a little bit of time. Let's section out this bottom area just right along the nape. You want your sections to be nice and clean so that you can really address any of this natural texture, because we don't want any of this frizz. So let's pull this up and then section this up off out of the way. Now we'll be curling all of this hair. So we need to go in with our wet hairspray. This is the Surface Impulse Wet Hairspray, and just mist the entire section. And then comb through with your wide tooth comb to distribute that product and make sure that it's 100% dry before you add any heat. I'll be curling with my 1.25 inch Bio-Ionic. This is my long barrel. And when I'm curling, I'll be alternating the direction of the curls. First, I want to run the entire section through the barrel. So feed your section through the barrel. See how it smooths that out initially so that you already have some heat through there and it's a little bit shinier. And then we'll take this, run through a couple more times, and then just alternate the directions of our curls. This first curl is going to go away from the face. I'm going to leave out my ends to be a little bit straight. So I'm just going to unroll this and then pull out. Now I'm not looking for a really tight curl, so you can see it's just a nice wave. This next section here, I'm going to alternate the direction of the curl. So feed that strand through the barrel first, and then this one is going to come towards me. I don't need my curls to be super, super consistent. So I do have a little bit of freedom with my curls because I'm doing a half up, half down, and I want it to be really nice and flowy. Because they don't have to be super consistent like if you were doing a Hollywood wave. You can run through and curl these a little bit faster. The most important thing is that at the root, everything is really nice and smooth because you will still see that section as it comes over. So you don't want to have a bunch of curl and frizz on the side here because when it comes over the shoulder, you are actually going to see that hair. So just smooth that out. Now this curl is going to go away from the face because my last curl was going towards the face, and I always try to curl everything on the hairline away from the face. That will just help it fall better and look a little bit more natural. I'm just going to smooth out that end because when it fell, it got a little crease in it. This one has a tiny little crease in it as well, so I'm just going to run that through the barrel just like that, and it smooths it out really nicely. And that's it. Now I'm going to take up the next section and I'm going to curl all of the hair up until the crown area, doing the same exact thing, alternating the direction of the curls and making sure that the hair is nice and smooth and shiny. finishing up this side over here, and I want to point out that whenever you're doing a half up, half down, you can alternate the direction of the curls. See how pretty that is? It's going to give a really nice, like flowy, voluminous curl pattern. But when you get over here to the ear, in everything in front of the ear, most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, you want to curl these sections away from the face so that when they land right here next to the face, you don't have anything curling in towards the face. All of these are curled out away from the face. So just kind of use the ear as a guideline. And once you get to the ear, even if you're alternating the direction of all of your curls for a half up, half down, when you get to the ear, always curl the sections in front of the ear away from the face. I have 2 sections left over here on the side, and then I am curling both of these away from the face. Smoothing it out, running that section through the barrel before you curl, it really does make a difference. I'll bring down my last section at the top. And before I add any curl into this, I need to make sure that I remap out the look, putting my part back in place. Make sure your part is nice and clean. And then start distributing the hair this way around the head. You don't want to have 2 sections coming straight down here, and you don't want to section this out so that you get a harsh parting here. You want all of this to be distributed around the head like a pie shape, just like this. So lay that hair out because you want to find the most natural fall pattern, and then that's the sections that we want to curl. So now that we see that we have everything laid out like this, then you can even go and map out each of your curls if that's easier for your just visually. So you can map each of these out, and I'm pulling each of these sections as a pie shape. So from the top of that, the end of that part, and then pulling those sections down just like this so you can see them, so I know exactly which section of hair I will be curling. So pie shape all the way around the head. Kind of give that a little twist so that it stays together. This helps me visually stay in my pattern so I don't manipulate the curls and curl them the wrong direction or create unwanted lines and sectioning. So now I have all of those out. So now I can start right here on the front, or you can start in the back, whatever is best for you, and start curling these. And keep in mind that you want each of these. You can still alternate the direction of some of these curls, but you want these ones over here by the side. You do want them to go away from the face. I'm going to split this a little bit because I also do have some face framing here. And so I'm going to pull that face framing out and leave that because I don't want to curl that in with this longer section of hair. Otherwise, it's going to look weird because you're going to get your curl pattern all the way down to the ends, and we don't want that. All right, so now I can take that piece back, that longer piece, now that I have this. And then I do want to add in some wet hairspray, comb through that, and then curl. Still running the entire hair through the barrel to smooth it out before I curl, and then curl away from the face. And you don't need to go all the way up to the root, just maybe to about the temple, the parietal. That's far enough up. So now I need to spray each strand of hair before I curl it. Or you can spray the entire section up at the top and then section it out and then curl it, whatever works best for you. I'm curling this one away from the face again, and then my next one here, I will alternate the direction. This is your top layer, so you do want these curls to be really pretty, really smooth. And just take your time and curl them, smooth them out, detangle the entire section so that it's just a nice, really smooth, nice pretty section for curling. Okay, and I'm going to wand this one just because of where I'm standing, but then also swoop it through, feed it through my barrel the same way so that it will be consistent. And I also get that heat distribution for added shine, but just where I'm standing, that's easier to do. I'm still taking pretty large sections. My section size is comparable to the barrel size that I'm using. So I'm using a 1.25 inch barrel. Therefore, my square inch section of hair can be 1.25. So keep that in mind. You can use, you can use a 1 inch on to create a half up, half down. Your curl pattern will obviously be a little bit tighter, and which is really good for curl resistant hair. So it doesn't make a difference. But if you are looking for a flowier pattern, something not so tight, then I recommend the 1.25. But I always make sure that my client's hair actually holds a curl and reacts really well to the heat before I would go in and curl their entire head with the 1.25. If they wanted a flowier pattern, not something not too tight, then what I typically will do is alternate between my 1.25 and my 1 inch barrel. And that way I still get a really natural curl pattern, but I also get that hold with that 1 inch. So I'm kind of guaranteeing a little bit more longevity. If that 1.25 inch curl falls a little bit more and looks more like a blowout curl, that works perfectly. But I also don't want it to fall so flat that it's straight and then, they don't have any curl pattern in their hair. So just kind of use your own experience and make sure that you are analyzing the hair. If you're working with, different textures of hair, if it's a really fine texture, you definitely want to add in that 1 inch barrel for curl longevity. I'm still adding in wet hairspray before each curl, but combing through it, not only to distribute the product, but to really make sure that each of my sections aren't tangled. All right, so I'm over here to the side now, and I'm in front of the ear. You can see that. So that means that all of this hair here needs to be curled away from the face. So pull out your face framing pieces or any short pieces. If there's any layering or anything like that, you want to pull those out and curl those separately. I'll pull out any of my short pieces. There we go. Perfect. And I'm going to spray this entire section, but I'm actually going to curl it in 2 sections. I'm combing out these sections with a rat tail comb instead of my wide tooth comb, just because they're smaller sections. And so I always want to make sure that I really detangle them. Okay, feed that hair through the barrel before you curl it. Adds heat to the strand and also just smooths it out. So you're not curling like that natural texture. You're smoothing out that natural texture before you're adding in your manufactured curl. This is our last section over here. I have a little bit of product that didn't get combed through, so it dried. So I'm just going to smooth that out before. And I'm going to feed that strand through my barrel to smooth out that entire strand before I curl it. Great. We can go in and curl these front pieces now. Since we have that curling iron out, add a little bit of wet hairspray. I'm going to spray it to both of them. Don't spray it in your client's face. Comb through that product. All right, feed that strand through the barrel just like you did on all of the other curls. And then pull down towards the face and then roll back, leaving out the ends, and then rotating right up to about the eyebrow. And then unroll that and feed the ends through. So you get just a really nice soft wave. I'm going to do the same thing on this side over here, but I want to come over to this side. Obviously, I don't want to curl her hair in front of her face. And so I'm going to feed that through first to warm it up, smooth out any unwanted natural texture, and then pull down towards the face and then roll back, leaving out the ends, but feeding that through, and then rolling back up to about the eyebrow. And I'm going a little higher than I usually do because I'm using a 1.25 inch barrel, and then unwind it, and then pull through. And double check to make sure your curl pattern is even. We're good. Lovely. Perfect. We can put the curling iron away at this point. You won't need the curling iron anymore right now unless you have one particular strand that got a little bit messed up. Then you can go in and recurl that. But for the most part, all of our curling is complete. I'm not a big product user. I like to use the products that I need for longevity, for hold, but I don't like to layer product and product and product on top of the hair because I always am a little hesitant that it's going to create too much buildup. It's going to weigh down the strand. So as of right now, I want to leave her the way she is. I don't want to add in any other product down through this area. If you wanted to, you could go in and just add a light veil of aerosol spray. You would just want to make sure that you're using a nice workable spray. So either a Sebastian Shaper, or you want to be working with the Air Flexible Hold, and you can just do a light veil. But for now, because her curls are holding up really nicely, I'm going to wait and hold off on that and just do a really light comb through with my wide tooth comb just to soften the ends of these curls. Start down at the bottom, and we're just going to soften these up a little bit. Mostly what we're doing is detangling them so that when we go in and we start creating this crown area, we're not dealing with tangles. Perfect. That's all I want to do. So don't comb through them too much, just a little bit. And we're going to go in and add in our volume powder through here and start designing our half up, half down. The volume powder I'll be using is the Design Me volumizing powder. I need to remap out my style just as it got a little bit messed up. So I'm going to place my hand here right at the hairline and lay that back, and then right behind where my thumb is, that's going to be the highest part of my updo, so the tallest part. That is where I'm going to start lifting this up and back combing this area and then connecting these sides in. Right at the back of that part, lift up a bit of your section and then add in that volume powder. Lift up a little bit more. We're going to add in all of our volume powder now. And then we'll go in and back comb it so that we don't have to go section by section. So I added it in this back crown area. Now I'm going to add it right along this side, picking up those sections, adding in it all. Now, if your curls down here get messed up, it's okay because we're doing a little bit of a fluffier, more natural look, more of like a blowout look. We don't want anything too tight. If you were working with curl resistant hair, then what I would recommend is actually going in and adding this volume powder in and adding in all of the back combing before you put your curls in, because otherwise, if it's really fine hair and it gets really tangled up, then it's going to just make a mess when you start lifting this hair up to put in this back combing. And just in an effort to avoid the stress and the frustration or adding in extra time because you'll have to recurl the hair, go in and curl or put in all of your back combing before you actually curl. So distributing this hair so that I can see exactly how it's going to fall and give it its most natural fall pattern. And then right behind the end of that center part, I'm going to start back combing. I'm going to lift this up, and it's a small triangular section, lifting that up at 90 degrees and then back combing. Your first section, you don't want to add in too much back combing because you don't want to add all of that tangled texture on the top. So just really, really lightly, then lift up your next section, and then that's where you can start adding in much more back combing. Really packing it down to the bottom, right at the scalp. You don't necessarily want your back combing to come up the strand. You want to keep it within that first inch, inch and a half. So lift your hair up at 90 degrees, take your comb, place it in, and then pull down. And you want to watch all of these strands through here move down as you're back combing, and then smash that into the root so that it all lands right here at the scalp, and you're not back combing all the way up, and so you don't have that tangled texture all the way up through the strand. It's just right there at the scalp. Once you make a few passes, and you can do it again. And once you get the hang of this, you can do it much faster. Just always hold your hair up at 90 degrees. Really smashing all of that hair right into those roots, into the scalp. And then you can drop that down. And look at that really nice lift. And it's all really nice. There's a pillow in there, so I can distribute that, move it around, manipulate it. And that's good enough for the height. We're not looking for too much height, but we want some natural height. Now we need to go in and connect these sides. If you back comb this way and come straight down the strand, then if you back comb, it's going to land here, and then you're going to go and try and put it into your half up, half down, and it's going to square off, and it's going to look really weird here. So really the area that we're back combing is down this side here behind the ear, not necessarily down from the part towards the ear, but behind the ear coming this way, because you're going to direct this hair towards the center, because that's where we'll be connecting it for a half up, half down. So we're going to pick up a little bit of the side, right on the side of that part, and a little bit of the center. Holds that up at 90 degrees. You already put in your volume powder. Lift that up at 90 degrees and then back comb. Again, being very careful to not back comb too much in that front section so that you don't have any exposed tangled texture on the top layer of your updo. So I'm picking up a little bit of the side and then a little bit of the center. This way I can connect the two together and I don't have any divots in the overall shape. So the side here is easy to pick up. The center is a little bit harder because it already has that back combing in it. And that's probably far enough. Bring that down. And then you can just smooth that out. But what I want you to see from the front is that this is combined together, whereas we don't have this weird divot right here anymore. This is combined together. We can smooth this out, and it's creating a really pretty shape here. We'll do the same thing on this side, on the left side, lifting up a little bit of the side that has not been back combed and a little bit of the center. Very light back combing in your initial first section. And then you can add in more as you move down the side of the head, picking up a little bit of the side and a little bit of the back. Where you stand matters, so you want to be standing behind the section. This is her ear here. So again, I'm coming down the side. I'm not coming down this way straight to her ear. I'm actually coming just right along this ridge here before the parietal. The goal is to connect the center and the side together. So if you keep that in mind as you're back combing, that will really help you on where you stand. So it looks a little bit crazy right now. That's okay. Just smooth that out. But what you can see is that this connects really nicely together so that we start creating that head shape that helmet shape. Everybody always says like, don't create a helmet, don't create a helmet. Yes, create a helmet, because if you create a helmet, then you can manipulate the top section after the fact and put that pretty design there, or customize it, or add some texture, some volume, manipulate it. But if you have that perfect foundation underneath, then it's not going to collapse. Whatever you put on top of it is going to be held up nicely. You're going to have beautiful shape and beautiful balance. And then you'll just have really pretty visible interest at the top. But if your foundation isn't strong, then it's going to collapse. So we're looking for a helmet first. I want to make sure I don't pull too much hair coming back. This hair needs to come to the side here. I don't want to pull too much hair coming back because I want that part to sit right there. All right, so now I need to check my shape. I'm going to come around to the front. Got one hair right in her face. Push that out of the way. All right, and I'm a little squared off here. You see that? She's a little bit square. So I need to fill in right here. And let's check from the profile. We have good shape from the profile, but again, she's a little flat just right here in this section. So I'm going to lift this up and then add in a little bit more back combing from the end of the part to right at almost the highest point of the back combing there. Lift this back up. Now, if you put your back combing in there and then you don't like it, just go in and change it. Be careful so that you don't hurt your client's head. You just want to be gentle, but hold that back up at 90 degrees and then really pack in that back combing in that section that's a little bit flat. I want more lift right there, so I'll hold that up and then really be intentional on packing in this back combing. I'll show you when I drop this down. Look at that lift already. So now my lift is happening earlier versus coming out the back here. So fill in this other area. You can almost think about it like if you cut let's say a baseball in half and you put the baseball on top of the head here. You want that back combing and that shape to start closer up. And so then you put that baseball on the head and that's where you want that lift. You don't want the lift coming out the back. And then I just need to connect this together. I think I'm good with how much I have in the front, but I don't want to divot. So I need to connect these together. And now I'm going to bring that down. And I like that much better. I'll smooth that out. Be sure that it's connecting with my sides. And then swoop her back around. Double checking that. And then we'll check from the front again. All right, so we're a little funky right here, but just smooth it out. And I think we're good. In terms of height, we're good. That's better. All right, we're just a little too high on this side here. Grab your fork comb if you need to smooth out a little bit more. Grab your fork comb and then smooth out any of that texture that you don't want to see from back combing. Just smooth it out. Before you move on, confirm that your shape is good. And I like that shape much better. We can give a little bit of lift here, but we can do that with our design. And that's going to be pretty shape. And then bring her over the side. Double check your shape. Okay, really good, strong foundation. This is going to come back to the back here, and then she'll have some pretty lift. We don't want too much lift, but we want some good lift. Great. I'm going to smooth out some of this now. What I'm doing is just pinching at the top and then bringing this hair down with my fingers, giving it a little bit, just a little bit of design and visual interest. Remember, like I said, so we put in that back combing and it's all perfect. It's like a perfect little poof. But now I want to manipulate the hair a little bit so that it doesn't look like just a straight poof. When I bring this together, I want a little bit more design and fluff through here. And so that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to take my fork comb and then my fingers and start kind of pulling through this a little bit and separating this out. creating some highs and lows, some ridges. I'm getting a little tangled here, so I'm just going to take my wide tooth comb and comb through that. Don't be afraid if your curl pattern is changing a little bit. Even if it gets messed up a little bit, it's okay. We can actually go in and recurl that if we need to. Okay, so you have that opportunity. I'm going to take a little bit of the Air styling paste and just plop that right on the back of my hand. Okay, rub that around the back of your hand. Really warm it up. And then just take little bits and run it through the top here. Just a little bit, not too much. Don't overuse the product, just a little bit. Really, I'm pulling down further down here, not so much at the top, because this is where I'm going to connect my half up, half down, and I don't want a ton of frizz. I want it to be just nice and pretty. So I'm just adding a little bit of styling paste in there for some control. We can add a little bit to the sides. Just a little bit of control. Great. And take your fork comb and then smooth out any unwanted texture, and then comb through where you put that styling paste to soften it up. Okay, I'm using my fork comb. The metal teeth of the fork comb is perfect for smoothing out well, first it's any back combing that we don't want exposed, and then it's also helping just combat any frizz. So I'm going to swoop around and then check the front and this other side, and that's just adding in a bit of shine. And because I'm working with one color, I don't have that blonde or that dark to help create any of that visual interest. So I need to do that with the texture. Check the front. Make sure we're not getting funky on the front. Some of your aerosol spray, and at this point we're going to put a light veil across the top. Directing some of that hair towards the back. Perfect. I like that crown. Isn't that pretty? And it has some nice texture. Got a little bit of a lump right there, but you can see that has some nice texture, but it's natural texture. It's not overworked or overdone, because we still want it to be nice and flowy. At this point, we're ready to start pinning. I'll be using 1.5 inch regular bobby pins. I like to just hook them on my watch here, or if you have a watch band that is magnetic, that works as well too. I just like to have them easy access. We're not going to be using too many bobby pins for this, so just grab a couple. And then you want to get right in front of your client or in front of a mirror and double check how much hair you want to leave out on the sides. So we'll begin mapping again. So first I'm just going to start looking from the side here on how much I want to leave out around the face. If I want a lot of hair around the face, or if I just want that face framing and I want to pull this up. And when you're working with a client, that's really important to ask your client what they prefer. And I always like to show them both. So pull up lots of it where the ear is exposed, and then also leave that out and let them look from the front so they can decide how much hair they actually want out. Well, for this, I think we'll leave out a little bit like that. Okay, so just a little bit covering the ear, and then we'll bring this back. So we'll pick up as much hair as we're going to bring back. And we have some of that back combing in there already, but if you need to add in a little bit more back combing to hold this together, then you can lift this section up and back comb right at the root, and that will just help hold that section together. Comb through that either with your fingers or with a fork comb to smooth out the outer layer. I like to design this in my hand first. It looks like there's some short pieces right there. I'm actually going to leave those out. They got just kind of mixed in. Like you can see it, there's another one. So I'll just leave those out. That's great. And then I'm going to use the back of my fork comb and comb through this. Hold tight here, but comb through that so it's smooth. All right, so once you like that and you like the texture, look at that, I got another piece. I must be grabbing it. Okay, pull that down. Look, there's more. Okay. Take your shine spray, add a little bit of shine spray, not a lot, just a little, and then comb through that just to add some shine. That's really pretty. All right, we're gonna do a little twist, just one rotation. It's not even a full twist. One more, and bring this right across the back, just like this. You can pinch this out a little bit. Now, when you pin this, be sure that this hair is coming straight down. You don't want this to be pulled over this way because then it's going to look funky. So before you pin this, you're just going to cross this over, but make sure that this hair here around the crown is straight down. And we're just going to take this, twist maybe one more time, and then you're going to grab your pin. I'm going to open it up. I don't usually open my pins, but for this one, I'm going to open it up because I want to make sure that I get all of the hair. And then I'm going to bring this and I'm just going to go right across that section, getting that entire section locked in. See that? Just like that. That's it. Then we can pinch this up. That pin's holding that. That's okay. Pinch this up and get a little bit more volume. Okay, and you can even pinch this out and add as much texture as you want. Now let's bring our the other side over. I'll do the same thing, leaving out that face framing and then picking up the same amount of hair. Always, always checking from the front that we're pulling the same amount of hair. Just leaving out the same amount of hair. She's a little bit funky right here, but don't worry, we're still going to manipulate this and add in more pins, so don't worry too much about that. Let's just get these two sections up. A little bit more shine spray. I don't always use shine spray, but for her texture, we can do that. If you're working with somebody who just needs a little bit of moisture, but please use it sparingly. I'm going to add a little bit of back combing into this section just like I did on the other side. I like it because it helps hold this together so that it doesn't split. Okay, and then while I bring this around, smooth it out really nicely. I drop a little bit of hair. I don't need all this hair. All right, hold that in your hand like that and then twist. Bring that around. And we're going to lay that right underneath that, just underneath that other section, just like that, right on top of that bobby pin. When you take your bobby pin, this is where the little trick is going to come in. So we're going to take our bobby pin, because a lot of times what happens is we just go in and we put this bobby pin in here, and then you can see the bobby pin, right? We don't want to see that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this underneath like this. And then here's where the trick happens. We're going to go through this twist with our closed bobby pin. Through the twist, And then you're going to grab that hair with a closed bobby pin, grab all of that hair. Let me lift this up so you can see it, okay? So I'm grabbing that hair underneath and then sliding that right along the scalp and then releasing that. And now both of those pins are completely covered up. We don't have any exposed pins, and look at how pretty this section is already. So now we can go in and manipulate this, but at this point, you're pretty much like hooked up there. But now we need to go in and manipulate it, define it, and add some more pins for added security. You know, she's a little bit flat here. There's not a lot of detail there. We have more detail on this side. The shape is really pretty on this side, but on this side, she's still a little bit flat, a little bit too uniformed here. So let's go in and manipulate it and make it really pretty. The cool thing about it is that this hair back here, it can all be manipulated. So you can make this as big, as fluffy as you want. I'm going to add a little bit of aerosol spray because it helps me just with control. And then I'm pinching out a little bit more texture right here at the back. See that starting to get really fluffy. And on the sides, see that shape really pretty. I need to do the same thing on this side. And then we really need to fix this right here because it looks too tight. I don't like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of just put my hands right here and then pinch this out a little bit. And then pinch through here, pinch and pull to create more lines of texture so that it doesn't look like one twist. Okay, what I can do now, I see this, I can lift this up a little bit and I have that other twist here. So I'm actually going to use that twist, pulling out that hair to make it fluffier and to give it some more, see how now I have all these cool lines of texture. Really pretty. So much better than it was. If you run into that problem, then you can also, you could always take it out and add in another rotation if you wanted to. So you have options. But please keep in mind that when you first put something together, a lot of times you're just getting it up there and holding it in place. And then you're going to go and spend quite a bit of time manipulating it and changing it. And you can see I still only have those 2 bobby pins in there, but I'm not going to leave just 2 bobby pins in there. I'm going to go in and I'm going to secure this entire section. But I want to manipulate it and change it and really create exactly what I want the style to look like before I pin it and lock it into place, just like we do with updos. All right, let's check the front. Looking good. Okay, we're a little bit flat right here. See that? So we'll need to pinch this out a little bit right here. And then probably add in a pin. You always check for balance and shape. Really pretty though. I think we're ready at this point to add in some more pins. Pinching this out, make it really nice and fluffy, airy. All right, so let's add in some more pins. So we're going to need to take our pins and we're just going to use closed pins. And when you do it, make sure you hold this bottom section because if I wasn't, see how this can move right here? So I want to lock that in. So hold that section in place against the scalp so that when you stick your pin in, You run it right along the scalp, and now look, that holds that in place. See how it doesn't move? And then you also create that nice little swoop. So always hold it and keep your pins closed. Do the same thing on this side over here. Keeping those pins closed. Oh, that one popped out. If it pops out, then just stick it back in and then redirect it down into the twist. Looks like I do have a pin exposed right here, so I'm going to take it out and just I'm going to go in again through my twist here and then repin that down, keeping it closed, making sure that it's not exposed. I love this, the shape here. It looks really nice, but we need to do some smoothing. So use your fork comb and just smooth out any unwanted shape. I like to come all the way up to my pins and smooth underneath so that you don't have any frizz coming out of your half up, half down. Okay, and always comb in the direction of the twist. And use a fork comb. The metal prongs are so much better for the hair to combat any frizz, unwanted frizz. We want some natural frizz. And you can even comb through some of these up at the top and smooth them out. That one's a little bit too high, so let's push that guy back in there. Awesome. Really pretty. Isn't that pretty? All right, so let's set that with a little bit more of that aerosol spray. Locking that in. And then let's go in and redefine any of our curls that may have gotten messed up. Sometimes your curls will get, a little bit frizzy right through here. That's absolutely normal. Just be really gentle when you're going in to manipulate them and just smooth them out. Use your fork comb and take the section and then smooth it out. So we'll start over here on the side and then just really gently, you want to take section by section. And remember, you alternated the direction of the curls. So you do want to follow the shape of the curl pattern, but be very gentle. You just don't want to mess up anything that you've already created at the top. You can even lift your twist up and smooth that all the way out, all the way up. And I don't think we're going to need to, because you can see as we smooth this out, the curls look really nice. But if we needed to go in and reshape some of the curls, then we could. We could just use your curling iron again and really gently take each individual section, and you could recurl it if you needed to. I don't think that that is going to be necessary. I love this curl right here, just coming out of that half up, half down. I see that really pretty texture right there. I don't want to mess that up, so I'm going to leave that one there, but move it out of the way. And you do want to individualize these other curls. I really like to design it all and then decide what products I need to support that design versus spraying it and then designing it with that product in it. Oops, did you see that? when I did this. So you see how that pulled? So that piece is not secure, which is not good because I want this entire thing secure. What might happen is that somebody could hug her and then pull that piece, and then from the front, she's probably uneven and unbalanced. So since I saw that, I'll just grab a bobby pin, and I can see that it's this entire piece right here, the entire section. And so I'll just take my bobby pin and then go keep it closed. But underneath here, I'm holding that hair just like that, so that I know that I'm going to grab that exact hair. I don't want to just throw my bobby pin in and hope that I grab it. Okay, so I put that bobby pin in, and now, oh, see that? Now that's nice and secure. Now I don't have to worry about somebody hugging her and that getting messed up. Okay, so let's continue finding these curls. Move your top layer out of the way because you still have these really pretty curls down here. If you had somebody that wanted this look, they don't have this much hair, you could absolutely add extensions in to create this look as well. I would even go so far as saying if an all over color like this gal here, like she's a, like a level 6, if your client had all over color, you could even add in a level or 2 lighter or darker of extensions, and that would create a ton of visible interest and dimension. That would be really pretty. But if she wanted to use the same color as her hair, that works too. You just have to kind of manipulate the hair to create some of that visual interest yourself. All right, so see the difference in that since we took the time to go in and smooth out some of these curls? It really does make a difference. So once you get that half up, half down in there, your job isn't done. You really need to go in and manipulate everything. Those first couple pins just hold it in place, but they really don't do the creative part of it. That comes in manipulating the hair. We can decide what products we want to do to spray this. Now, you could add in a little bit of shine spray to add some shine and moisture to this hair. You could just set it with an aerosol, or you could add in texture spray. That's really up to you and which products you like. That's the part of the creative freedom process that is really cool. So I think I'm just going to fluff this a little bit. I want a little bit fluffier design, not too done, not too perfect. Let's add in a little bit of texture spray. The texture spray I'll be using is Texture Air. And we'll always want to spray from the bottom coming up this way. So we'll lift that up and then spray from underneath. We'll do that on the other side, but I want to show you. Okay, so lift that up. And then again on this side here. How pretty is that? Fun, right? So much more texture, much flowy volume, really pretty. It really goes with the half up, half down that we created, the design that we created through here. Again, you have options. You could create this entire look, but you could keep it much cleaner with less texture, less natural frizz. And so you would go in with probably just a setting spray, a workable setting spray. Or you can go in with shine spray, or you can go in with texture spray. Depending on what your client desires, it's important to understand which products you should use in order to create that desired look. Super pretty. We already put in some curl. We'll just lift this up, grab some volume powder, add a little bit of volume powder right there at the root. Just a little. And then hold that up at 90 degrees. And we'll just put a little bit of backcombing in there. We don't want a ton. I just want it to be kind of fluffy, give some lift. Perfect. Just like that. Do the same thing on this other side. Lift this up, 90 degrees. A little bit of volume powder right there at the ends. Don't get it on our face. And then just a little bit of back combing. Just a little to hold it together. Not a lot. We want more of a natural look to mimic what we've done with the half up, half down and with the curls in the back. And then always spray. So I'm just using the air flexible spray, always underneath and on top. Give it a nice once over. Double check your look. Make sure that you like it. You like all sides. I love the shape. The design is really pretty. I love the fluffiness. The last thing that I want to show you before we finish this up is something that I just always go in and do at the very end, and that's take my wide tooth comb and comb the very ends here, just so that they're uniformed. So you can just really lightly comb the ends. Comb the ends. Still get that fluff. Then all of your curls are laying flat, and it just makes a huge difference when you go and take those first couple pictures and still create, still make sure that you have that dimension and fluff, but so that all your curls are going in the same direction. All the hair is laying flat. It's uniformed. It's beautiful. What a fun look to create. I'm excited to recreate this one in class together. But there you are. Just a gorgeous, fluffy, textured, she has amazing hair, but we would add in extensions if somebody wanted this look and didn't have this bit of hair. She does have beautiful hair, but all right, there you are. Enjoy and have fun recreating this look.